The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
構成藤田 Listening Keeping Strong Style.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the ASA podcast on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with MJ, the Discord Daddy. On today's show, we're going to preview Destruction in Kobe and cover all latest news. Please support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network or Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the network's podcasts over at socialsuplex.com. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. And we are streaming live right now on patreon.com/KI Strong Style for IWGP subscribers. If you want access to the weekly live stream, ad-free audio, and bonus content, subscribe at patreon.com/KI Strong Style. MJ, how you doing, man?
Doing good, Jeremy. Thanks for having me back. Pleasure to be back at the best New Japan podcast on the internet.
Well, thank you so much, man. And, you know, according to ChatGPT, we are the number one, like you said, the number one New Japan podcast. If you ask ChatGPT as of right now, who is the top New Japan podcast, it lists us as number one.
ChatGPT plus the streets are talking. I keep my ears to the street. The Discord Daddy knows what's up.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's awesome. Glad to have you, man. And, you know, like I said, we're streaming live. And this coming Friday, there's going to be a special live stream on the Social Suplex YouTube channel. A big special live stream of all the hosts on the network getting together on Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, to announce some big news for the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We'll also play some fun Tone Talk games. We'll also do some Q&A. So it's going to be an awesome time. If you're not already, make sure you are subscribed to the Social Suplex YouTube channel at Social Suplex on YouTube. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, and if I can just say, major congratulations to you, Jeremy, and to Rich and all the folks that started Social Suplex. Watching you guys grow, over the years and doing it the right way, keeping it organic, keeping it authentic. It's just really amazing. And you guys should reap the rewards of everything you're doing here. It's amazing stuff.
Thanks. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, I know it could be easy for people to just kind of want to, be engagement farmers and just, repost, this day on and copy and paste quotes from other people. But nah, we just grind and keep them going.
Do the work, baby.
Yeah. Outwork everyone. Man. So yeah, make sure you guys check out the live stream. This Friday is going to be a lot of fun. And this week on the docket, we got Destruction in Kobe coming up from Kobe World Hall, September 29th, this coming Sunday. So things have been a little quiet on the New Japan front. They've been doing a lot of house shows that have not been aired on New Japan World, but we got this big New Japan show coming up, Destruction in Kobe, the conclusion of the Destruction Tour. And we got a lot of big matches on deck. So we'll go through these, kind of give our thoughts and predictions for the whole card. So we'll start off. So the show's going to open up. We got Tiger Mask, Tomioka Hanma, and Yuji Nagata, and they'll be taking on Dragon Dia, Ryusuke Taguchi, and the Roughneck Shota Umino.
Yeah, two great things about this match. Number 1 is Hanma, my guy. Number 2 is we get to hear Dragon Dia's theme again. So that'll be good. No, this should be a fun match. Good way to get things going in Kobe. And I'm looking forward to hearing Dragon Dia's song. I got to say this is kind of like a weird spot for Shota to be in, with a bunch of dads, nothing going on. So I wonder what that's all about. But I could probably see him getting a win here.
Yeah, it seems like they're just trying to keep him in the back burner until they pull a trigger with him and Zach. He eliminated Zach from that Rambo last week, and it seems like the tea leaves are playing out that he'll be, challenging Zach if Zach ends up beating Great O'Khan or Naito. So, yeah, it seems like he's next in line after those guys. So, yeah, I think for now they're just trying to just give him a little something to do on the back burner until it comes November.
Keep him simmering.
Yeah. Also excited, Dragon Dia's theme, and, they're in Kobe World Hall, which is, the kind of home of the Dragon Gate promotion where Dragon Dia's from, and obviously Shingo Takagi has made a lot of his career in Dragon Gate as well. So kind of a shout out there to Dragon Dia, which is very interesting because I heard, I forgot who I was listening to, but they were kind of talking about, it seemed like the New Japan office wasn't a huge fan of Dragon Dia during Super Juniors, and just like from what they said, like they didn't get him and just weren't totally thrilled by what he was doing, but they're bringing him back here, so maybe there's not full truth to that. Yeah.
I thought he had a fine run in the Super Juniors, and I thought his one win at in Korakuen was super meaningful and capped a nice little story for him. Yeah, he didn't get to get any like big wins or get a bunch of wins, but he did get a big meaningful win. So I mean, I thought it was a nice little story for him, and I'm happy to see him again.
Yeah, same. And I've heard it's done great stuff for his Dragon Gate run as well. I mean, he's already super popular, but it seems like since Super Juniors, he's been doing really well over there as well. So glad that he got that Super Juniors run, glad he's doing well. And it's going to be good to see him here in this opener. Should be a fun opener. I would guess that, Umino is probably going to get the win here over Hanma or Tiger Mask and build some momentum for Power Struggle in November. So then following that, we'll have LIJ, Bushi, Hiromu, and Yota Tsuji, and they'll be taking on a United Empire team of Callum Newman, Francesco Akira, and Jeff Cobb.
Yeah, keeping the boys busy here. I think, this will be okay. I think this match is probably about positioning Akira for something in the future, hopefully. It'll be interesting to see Callum and Hiromu matching up against each other. Sounds fun. And we've already seen what Yota and Jeff Cobb can do. So will be good to see them run that rivalry back.
Yeah, and very interesting on the LIJ side, we got 2 juniors, when on the UE side, we got only 1 junior in Francesco Akira. But like you mentioned, Akira, he's been picking up a lot of wins on the undercards the last couple of tours, so you got to think that, you mentioned they're heating him up probably for Doki. Doki's, been cleaning out the division. He beat the big 3. He just recently beat Taiji Ishimori, the last of the big 3, beating Desperado Hiromu as well this year. So you got to create some new challengers and mix it up there in a division. So I wouldn't be surprised for Akira to maybe pick up a win over Bushi, maybe even Hiromu can pull an upset there to kind of catapult him and get him ready for probably King of Pro Wrestling.
And he's been talking about Hiromu. He's been talking about Despy in the backstage interviews, saying he's got unfinished business, and speaking a lot of Japanese pretty well too. So something he's trying out some new stuff. So I'm interested to see what Akira can do, because he can go. I just want to see something a little bit more like a good trail of breadcrumbs for Akira to follow.
Definitely. And also he's been a centerpiece of the junior tag division with TJP and Catch 2-2, and has been in and out of the title scene, title matches, title picture there. And I don't think, we were talking about last week, I don't think he's ever had a singles championship match for the IWGP Junior Championship. So I think now's the time to get him in the mix, especially with TJP kind of trying to be the leader, move more heavyweight, and opens the door for him to focus on the singles run. So I think now is the time. Let's heat him up. We need new faces to push in the division. So I think he's a great guy, has tons of fire, and I think would be a great addition to that singles mix-up there.
Yeah, and I think the junior division is got a ton of quality in it, and it's just about positioning these guys well enough, right? Because you got guys like Robbie, you got Akira, you got Sho, you got hopefully a returning Watto. So I think there's some interesting stuff that can be done. It's just you don't get to see the juniors in singles matches, and I think that's kind of some of the trouble with building a solid story around the division.
Yeah, definitely. So hopefully Akira picks up the win here, and that will move him along to challenge Doki later this fall. So then following that, we have a non-title matchup here as the NJPW Strong Openweight Champion Gabe Kidd will take on Hiroki Goto.
Yeah, we're going to see Goto and Gabe plunder all over Kobe World. Both of these guys, these guys have had outstanding years. Like Gabe is totally dialed in. Goto has been tapped on the shoulder more than once this year. And absolutely nailed it every single time. So I don't see why this will be anything other than super fun, raw, hard hitting, UK roadman things.
Yeah, this should be great. And this is all building up from the rivalry that was happening on the undercards of this tour with Bishamon and the Mad Bastards, Gabe Kidd and Jake Lee. Jake Lee getting injured at the Destruction in Sendai show on September 11th, and had that weird kind of awkward finish we talked about last week. And it's also Gabe Kidd kind of blaming the injury on Goto, and that's why we're getting this matchup here, non-title. And definitely seemed like we were going to probably get more of Mad Bastards and Bishamon moving forward, but Jake Lee out, Yoshihashi's challenging for a title on this show, so why not throw in a singles match here, Gabe Kidd and Goto?
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, should be, like you mentioned, should be a very hard-hitting. It's the first time matchup for these guys as well. I'm gonna go with Gabe Kidd getting the win here. What do you think?
Yeah, it's good. You could make a case for Goto getting a win here and seeing them wanting to run back a title match. Maybe over in the UK or something like that with Goto and Gabe. I don't know if Gabe has already got a booking for Royal Quest, but I mean, that could fit, right? You want to send him there with a good challenger and a title match. So maybe this is a setup for that. Maybe not.
Yeah, as far as I know, he's not booked for Royal Quest yet. But yeah, you definitely could do that. Have Goto win. He faces Gabe Kidd at Royal Quest, or there is a Fighting Spirit Unleashed in Boston, I think in October, I believe is that upcoming show. So yeah, I know they've been trying to keep some of the Strongs to more of the Western show, so definitely a shot there to have Gabe Kidd defend on either of those shows.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Goto.
All right, put in that G for Goto. So following that, we're going to have TMDK, Zack Sabre Jr., Kosei Fujita, and X, a mystery new member, will take on the Just Five Guys team of Sonata, Taichi, and Taka Michinoku. And we had a question from Doc in the Discord. Who is X for TMDK? I hope it's somebody cool. MJ, any thoughts or anybody you kind of hope is the new member of TMDK?
So I'll tell you who I think it is and who I don't want it to be. Okay. And it's both Oiwa. I don't want it to be Oiwa, but it's Oiwa. I don't want to spoil things for everybody here, but I went on Wikipedia earlier to look up the match card, and it's got it right there. Zack Fujita Oiwa. I don't know who put it up there, but it's up on Wikipedia. So you could put the tinfoil hats on, but that's, I think there's a lot of signals that point to it being Oiwa, the Yoshinari Ogawa relationship. I think Fujita and Oiwa also have a relationship from back in the dojo. Zach was over in Noah, I think, and he faced off against Kiyomiya and Oiwa at one point with Ogawa. So, I mean, there's a lot of smoke to this fire, and it seems like it's going to be it, which I think it's a bit of a letdown for me personally, but it's going to be good to have him back anyway. It will round out that TMDK group nicely. They need someone they need a big thick dude that can challenge for, maybe it's a never title, maybe it's that TV title, while Zach's got his own title run to deal with.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't want it to be Oiwa as much as I think it'd be cool for him to be back. And I think we touched on it last week. At some point, I feel like these young guys kind of need to lead their own factions and get that push. And my fear is with him joining TMDK is that he's gonna just kind of be right under Zach. He's gonna be kind of where Tsuji is in LIJ. Where, Tsuji's gotten a lot of opportunities. Obviously, won New Japan Cup, final G1, came back at a title match, but clearly he's still under Naito and is not being fully pushed as a top guy. And so, I'm worried that's what's the plan for Oiwa. It's like, we'll put him in TMDK right under Zach. He'll kind of get some spotlight, but he'll always be under Zach.
What I worry about is it's going to cool him off. He's super over with that Noah crowd. He is very, very, very over. And you're putting him in TMDK, which is, it's not a very over faction. I don't think any of the factions are particularly hot at all right now. But to put him in TMDK is like, I kind of get it, but the guy has he's got his own aura. He's got his own fire. He got himself over in Noah, had an amazing excursion. So, it's just kind of unfortunate, but we'll see how it goes, right? Well, it's see what he makes of it. Because it feels the same as like Uemura coming back.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's an even better example than Tsuji. Yeah, Uemura, he did a lot of great work in Impact, was having a great North American excursion. People were very high on him and ready for him to come back. And then, they just kind of throw him in just 5 guys and literally just became a guy and kind of floundered for a bit and then was kind of, swimming around the KOPW title picture and was having a really good G1. But, it's been kind of hit or miss with him. And, I don't want the same thing to happen to Oiwa, but like you said, I mean, we got to let it play out and see how maybe there's a different plan. Maybe it's not even Oiwa and we're doing this big rant for nothing, but it does seem like the signs are pointing towards him. And again, like you mentioned, in Noah, like they did a good job of kind of making him a loner. Like, initially he came in with Kiyomiya, but then eventually, broke off from Kiyomiya, good looking guys, try to get him to join as well. And he didn't join their group, and so he was kind of just like this, standalone, white meat bay face, kind of grinding and fighting for himself. And I feel like that kind of energy could have been cool in New Japan, where I know it's a very faction-based system, but it would be cool to kind of have that one guy that's like, no, I'm just kind of my own man. I'm not leading a faction, I'm not being in a faction. I'm just really concerned about myself.
And he was fighting at the top of the card over in Noah.
Right?
He was challenging for titles. He held a tag title, didn't he?
I don't know. I know they were in the tag league. I can't remember if they won the tag titles. But he was feuding with the GHC champion, the top number 2 heavyweight championship in Japan right now, and had a series of matches with Kiyomiya and that whole rivalry, and had a nice send off of that last Noah show against Kiyomiya there. So I mean, from a New Japan standpoint, this guy has been pushed up against some of the best competition in Japan, so why not bring him over as a guy that's a headliner or main eventer? This guy's been facing a world champion. He's been headlining shows in Noah. Like, why not kind of try to Control C, Control V, place that into New Japan and get him going.
Yeah, he's got tons of momentum. He's got all the momentum in the world. Even I think there's a bunch of people in the West even clamoring for a big return, right? An exciting return for Oiwa. So, I think everyone's seen what he's done in Noah and expects that to continue. And I think plopping him in a lukewarm faction, underneath, and maybe this is part of making TMDK a more permanent stable, a more Japan-based stable, because, Zach's there, Fujita's there, but, Mikey and Shane are not. And so they need a bit more of a presence in Japan. I wish it was Big Pete's, but, you get what you get and you don't get upset, right? That's what I tell my kid anyway.
Yeah, I would love for Bad Dude Tito to do some more tours. But like you mentioned, that's a great point. When you look at that faction, a lot of those guys, Zach and Fujita are the ones that are there pretty much every tour. Robbie kind of pops in and out. Hayes and Nichols, like you mentioned, they pop in and out. We've only seen Bad Dude Tito for one tour in Japan, but he does a lot of New Japan Strong stuff. So yeah, their factions kind of really spread out right now. So yeah, I guess if you want to kind of make that faction more kind of home-based, home domestic, adding another Japanese domestic talent to the group makes sense from that standpoint. Yeah. So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see who the mystery man is, if it is Oiwa or somebody else. Should be an interesting shakeup there. So then following that, we'll go to the first title match of the evening. We have the never openweight 6-man tag team title match as Hiroshi Tanahashi, Boltin Oleg, and Toru Yano will defend against the House of Torture trio of Evil, Sho, and Yujiro Takahashi. Yeah,
this is an HOT dub for me. I don't care about this match at all, other than how Boltin is positioned afterwards. I don't mind seeing Boltin in a singles feud with Evil, just to see how he manages that kind of work and to see what type of a storyteller he can be. It's a very, very simple formula. I think for all of his faults, at the very least, Evil can position Boltin in that super white meat babyface role. I think it's a good space for him to be in. It's not complex, and a good first feud for Boltin. And I have a sneaking suspicion that they probably try to run this back at Wrestle Kingdom or something. Get Tana on the card somehow, fighting for something somewhat meaningful, right? So that's I don't care about the trios title right now. They've dropped in stature, in my opinion. So this is all about Boltin and where he shakes out afterwards.
Yeah, and we had a question here from Def Triangle 720. Do you think the hot feud with Hantai has gone too long? And yeah, it's been going on forever. I mean, in some form or fashion, it's been going on for the whole year. And I know you could make the argument, well, yes, it's a top babyface feud against a quote-unquote top heel feud, and why shouldn't they feud? But yeah, the feud has been super long in the tooth, and I think it's way overdone now. It's just not super entertaining with these guys going back and forth. And yeah, my fear is, if House of Torture does win, then that means these guys are going to get a rematch, and Boltin, Tanahashi, and Yano are going to try and get the titles back. But yeah, I do think it's time, again, emphasis on the young guys. Like, let's get Boltin doing something. This has been a nice little spot for him in the Never 6-man for right now and teaming with Tanahashi and Yano. But yeah, I would like to see him kind of, if they drop the belts, kind of break out and do something else, maybe challenge Cobb for the TV title, go after the Never title. I think it's time to start getting him heated up as well.
Yeah, and even get him in a tag team with Shota, get something set up for Tag League, something, something away from this. With respect to Death Triangle's question, yes, I feel like every time I'm on here, I'm complaining about House of Torture doing something annoying and long-winded. And so it's, not to belabor this, but yeah, it's absolutely overdone. It's too long, but it's also like there's nothing to sink your teeth into there other than a very, very simple bad guy versus good guy formula here, which I think is important for a guy like Bolton to learn. And so we'll see what where he can take it from here. But yeah, hoping for something more for Bolton. Otherwise, the Never Six Mans can stick around. It'll be a shame to have him on Yujiro's waist, but
yeah. And I think another thing too about this feud is, you had the whole thing with Tanahashi kind of giving his points throughout the summer, saying, he was planning to stop the outside interference and, limit some of the House of Torture stuff, which is kind of played into this feud. Well, he's the president, he's supposed to be stopping this stuff, but they're continuing to do this stuff. So, where's the end game here?
Well, I think as he's doing some containment at least, right? He's containing it to a particular part. Like they're all paying these guys money, right? So you got to try to extract some type of value out of them somehow. So, if it's by containing them and by not letting it scramble its way up the card or scramble its way into more meaningful parts of the organization, then I think he's doing the best he can.
Yeah, I think I would love if this all built to like a loser must disband match, and Tanahashi, putting his foot down. It's like, all right, if we beat you, you got to break up, and no more house, no more cheating, none of that stuff. And then they beat them, and then it's over, it's done. That would be the redeeming lining here, the silver lining, if that was the end goal.
This is how we get Old Show back.
Yeah. That'd be great. Just break up, those guys go away, take Show, get some time off, random come back, he's back in the yellow and black, he's back to the old Show. That would be
the 3Ks. He's throwing up the 3K again.
Yeah, he comes back like nothing happened. He's like
shiny suits. Where's Rocky?
He's got the goal on. Yeah, where's Okada? I'm still in chaos, right? Oh man. So then next matchup on the card, we got the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title match with Doki defending his title against Yoshinobu Kanemaru. And we know the history with these guys, former members of Suzuki-gun, and also former members of Just Five Guys together. Before Uemura came in, Kanemaru was one of those five guys who ended up turning his back on the whole faction there. And also very close with Doki and Taichi. Those guys kind of transferred from Suzuki into Just Five Guys. So very kind of personal relationship here. And then last week, after Doki defended against Ishimori, Kanemaru gave him a nice whiskey bottle to the back of the head, challenged him to set up this matchup here.
Yeah, we've got plenty of backstory here for us folks to feast on. The people who are tuned in weekly for New Japan, but I think there's relatively little else to go on here. It feels like a challenger of the month type of situation. Doki's cleaned out the top of the division, I think, but you have like a fairly robust next level up with like Nobu, with Sho, with Robbie, Fujita, maybe, like I said before, returning Wato for other potential challengers. Why is Dragon Die on the card? Maybe, you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing it, right? Yeah. It would be interesting, and I'd love to see it. So I don't know what the plan is for Doki. I don't know what the plan is for that title at Wrestle Kingdom, because I think all of these, all of what's taking place right now is on the pathway to Wrestle Kingdom. We got a couple of pit stops on the way. Now, is Doki going to defend on all these big shows and make it to Wrestle Kingdom? I don't know, but he has been angling for AEW guys, been angling for CMLL guys. Is he going to make it to Wrestle Kingdom with that title? I don't know. But I don't see the value in putting the title on Kanemaru. Nor is there value in taking the belt off of Doki right now. So I just feel like things are a little slow. And, hopefully we can get, hopefully Watto comes back. I can't believe I'm, clamoring for Watto, but I would love to see Robbie. And you know what? I'd love to see some of these Dragon Gate guys because they can go. And I think it would be interesting to see, Dragon Dia step up and challenge.
Yeah, that'd be very interesting. And yeah, Kanemaru definitely screams, challenger of the month kind of guy. And so yeah, I don't see him picking up a win at all in this matchup. But definitely, I think a nice kind of easy defense for Doki to move forward. And yeah, you brought up a good point. Like, what is the plan for Doki? Is he gonna kind of go strong? I mean, I think if I were them, that's what I would do and just really continue to establish him, especially with him already beating Hiromu, Ishimori, and Desperado this year. I think you want to continue to build him up and show, he is just on those guys' level. He didn't fluke his way through the big three. He can kind of be the face of the division and really get him over. And so yeah, having a nice win here, and then I think Akira, like you mentioned, challenging or Dragon Dia, some of these guys on the card coming out and challenging him could be cool. And I would love for Doki to get to the Dome with the title. And like you mentioned, he wants a lot of the partner promotions, and there was some heat with him and Mystico during that Fantastica Mania, I believe it was in July in San Francisco. So why not? We got January 5th, Wrestle Dynasty. All those promotions will be in Japan for that big show. So why not January 5th do Doki versus Mystico?
And you know what? You could put the title on Mystico. You got him for Fantastica Mania up in February. I mean, why not? Sounds good to me. Also, though, if Kanemaru did happen to win, he would become a Triple Crown champ.
Yeah, they always
kind of junior titles.
Yeah, they always tease that whenever he challenges because he's had several challenges throughout his tenure in New Japan, but always falls a little bit short. So yeah, they always kind of tease that whole him being the junior Triple Crown. But yeah, I think it'll continue to be a tease for him and not happen here. But yeah,
I agree. Doki.
Yes, Doki Mania. I would also love to see him versus Darby and who's going to kill each other's first matchup.
Yeah, there's lots of folks. Dante Martin. The AR Fox. There's a bunch of dream matches that you can make with incredible athletes across various wrestling promotions. Hologram. Give me Hologram versus Doki any day of the week.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Yeah, throw that on Rampage for the sickos. I will watch that. I will stay home on a Friday night and watch the shit out of that.
Tony Khan, you heard it here first, man. Do it. Hologram versus Doki for the sickos. Let's go. So then following that, we will have the never openweight title match as Hanare defends the championship against the Dragon, Shingo Takagi.
Yeah, this is going to rule. Couple of big buff-chested boys pumping each other. Heavy licks. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This is my kind of work. No, but you got to think, here's my opinion. You got to think Shingo's taking the title here and probably going to rock it until Wrestle Kingdom. This is their third time, I think, they've matched up this year.
Yeah, third time this year, yeah.
So this is probably the blow-off, if they're doing things in threes here. I think it's probably time to start positioning Shingo for something big at Wrestle Kingdom, although this is like his fifth never title run, so it feels safe and uninspired. But, I think when you look down this card, some of these titles got to flip. And, this one and the six mans are those like prime targets.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and also, I agree with you. This match is definitely going to be a great match. We've seen the history of Shingo Hanare matches now for the last several years, and already 2 this year, Dominion, and then following that on the New Japan Soul Tour. And also, these guys are great opponents. They have great matchups, but to me, it just felt like a little bit too soon to be going back to this after Hanare kind of definitively beat Shingo. Now it was a dragon, no pun intended, that he was chasing for a while now and trying to get that big, solid win over him. And so finally get that win, but then all to kind of run it back. And then especially if he loses, I think it kind of leaves Hanare in a bad spot. I would kind of want him to, I think for his trajectory, I would want him to win, but I don't know how likely that is with it being Shingo.
I think Hanare is the guy you want with the Never title. Like someone who fights with their heart and soul every single time they go out there. They are down for the action. They are down for like crazy, rough, hard-hitting matches. And, I think Hanare's been like an excellent champion in what's been, fairly short run, right? Because he won the title and he's right into G1. But I would have loved to see some other challengers. Like he lost to Narita, he lost to Tsuji in the G1, he lost to Takeshita. Those are all matches you could run back that would be amazing, and you could put at the, middle top of any card anywhere, and they would rule. So, I think I could even go see Bolton, give me another Bolton challenge. He did beat him in the G1, but like would love to see it. But yeah, I would like to see Hanare carry that title because I think he puts prestige on the title. I think he honors the title by the way he wrestles and by the way he fights. And not that Shingo does not do that, but I just think it is it's special on Hanare.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I feel like they could have maybe saved the Shingo match, maybe for the Tokyo Dome. You do a big matchup with their big rivals on a big stage for that title. Then, you could even have Shingo win it there, but I feel like they did such a great job of elevating Hanare this year and getting him in that Never title picture and having a pretty strong G1. And like you mentioned, he did lose a lot in that G1. So there's plenty of guys that he could have wrestled his whole fall and, got some redemption and get some great title defenses going into the Tokyo Dome. So yeah, I don't know kind of what the plan is here. And again, these guys did have a double KO at Dominion. So, there's always a chance of doing some kind of that again, some kind of double KO, double count out kind of schmaz. But it seems like with the Tokyo Dome season, we're kind of in this LIJ kind of push with, rumors of Hiromu and Naito. And then, you want to get a guy like Shingo on the card. So why not give him the Never title? So yeah, I would not be surprised if Shingo does get the win here.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to also take Shingo, though. I think Hanare kind of deserves it.
Yeah. It's my head is saying Shingo, my heart is saying Hanare, and yeah, I just feel like his time has finally come. This is a guy that's been grinding for so long, and a guy that forever tried to beat guys like Ishii and Shingo, and now he's finally doing it and captured that Never title. And I just feel like again, we're at this kind of critical point in New Japan where we got to start pushing new, fresh talent. And don't get me wrong, I love Shingo. Shingo's probably like one of my favorite guys on the roster right now, but it's him winning could be a detriment to a guy like Hanare, who's really trying to continue to break through and be elevated up the roster.
Yeah, there's no reason Shingo couldn't be mixed up with Finlay. No reason. And Hanare could have absolute maniac matches with guys like Goto, guys like Narita, and bring Takeshita back for a challenge. You know what I mean? That is a great fall. That is a great fall. And if you want to have Shingo in that type of a situation for later down the road, who knows? Who knows, right? Maybe he surprises. Maybe Gato surprises us, right?
Yeah, we'll see. This show we used to sing, trust in Gato, but I can't trust that man right now, and so he's got to earn the trust back. So We'll see what he does. I mean, which, like you mentioned, with Shingo, I feel like he's a guy that should be more in that main event title picture. He should be. He's a perfect guy to be a white belt champion challenger. Going against Finley would be great. But I get they're trying to keep the Never title kind of to its roots, that more hard hitting BMF kind of mindset. And so obviously Shingo is a perfect guy for that, but it's hard because I don't really want to see Shingo lose. Like, I want him to kind of progress and move up the card, but then again, I don't want Hanari to lose either. So,
yeah, I think a loss hurts Hanari way more than it hurts Shingo. He doesn't lose any credibility, right? And Hanari, it feels like he's taking a big step backwards if he does lose.
Yeah. So speaking of the global title and David Finlay, that's the semi-main event on this card. We're going to have David Finlay defending that IWGP global heavyweight title against Yoshihashi.
Yeah, Yoshihashi returning to Kobe, the scene of his lowest point as a pro wrestler. But I don't know, did you catch his interview that he did on New Japan World?
Yeah,
did you read the transcripts and stuff?
Yeah.
Man, what an amazing interview. Because he credits that moment, that lowest point of his career where things really started to turn around from him. And, if you're listening to this and you're a fan and you haven't seen this interview with Yoshihashi, go to New Japan's Twitter. It's up on their YouTube. But there's a ton for fans to dig into. He talks about that fall in Kobe. He talks about his career, where it's gone from that point, what that white belt means to him, and like a whole bunch of like inspirational content that would be like that would fit really well on Instagram. If he wasn't such a dull guy, like outside of the ring, he would be like the all-time high school guidance counselor. Like he was saying stuff like, when things are going really well for you, you don't have the time for introspection. And he also said, it's okay to run away. Human beings aren't the strongest creatures. If anything, we're small and fragile, but we can become strong with the support of others.
Dude.
Like, totally unbelievable stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm invested in this.
Slap that on a motivational poster.
Yeah. I mean, and this guy's entire career has been a struggle, right? Mm-hmm. Like 3 times he had to take the young lion test. He spent years trying to build a connection with fans and failing at it. And during his biggest moment at Kobe, where he's coming to save the day, Shockmasters, and almost breaks his neck, right? So, this guy, like, once you watch that interview, you'd be like, this guy is John Cena, never give up, certified. He's talking about giving hope to the fans. He is like this, like, he wants to be the beacon of hope. Like, he's there with you struggling. Like, if you're going through hard times, just know Yoshihashi he understands you. And that's a really super meaningful connection for folks who like feel down, right? This guy's speaking the same kind of language, right? He has been down. He's been he talked about it, super depressed.
He wasn't in the G1 this year. He failed to qualify for that.
Yeah. And he's just, he's on that. He's got hope, right? Hopium. And I love it. And so I got a ton of respect for this like spirit, this never give up. And like, it was kind of a joke for a long time, right? It was a big joke. Like, he was the butt of everybody's joke, but he's not. He's earned everything that he's got, his title match, all the respect and all the praises that we throw on him. If you would have told me and you, if we're talking in 2018, that we were going to be pretty pumped to see David Finlay versus Yoshihashi for the Intercontinental title or something like that, that's not a conversation we'd have been having a few years ago. And David Finlay hasn't had an easy road himself. he's been the butt of a lot of jokes as well. So, he was doing the silly C block stuff forever and, not super charismatic until he had to turn things around and get that opportunity. So I see this as like two guys who, just had to really earn it, had to really grind for it, and their paths has taken them different directions. But yeah, needless to say, this is got a Gato special written all over it. Like, this is David Finlay is winning this match, and like all of Yoshihashi's dreams are coming down again. But don't worry, he has hope and belief in himself, and he will, he's going to overcome it with us as fans.
Yeah, he'll definitely bounce back. And yeah, that's a great recap there on Yoshihashi's the interview. But definitely, yeah, people need to go check that out. And yeah, Yoshihashi's done a great job of just kind of bouncing back from all the failures of his career. And you talk about big moments. You think his return from Excursion against Okada at that Wrestle Kingdom, and just what a bad match that was. And this guy's been getting a bad rap for fans for a while. People call him the bag of socks, and he just got ragged on all the time. But he just kept working hard, kept his head down, kept moving, and yeah, he's to the point where he is now, where he's one of the hardest working guys on the roster. We saw that during the pandemic period when he was teaming up with Ishii and Goto, and what a great run they had with the never 6-man titles. And anytime he gets a shot in these New Japan Cups or G1s, like, he's always pushing, always going hard, always going strong. And yeah, he's definitely earned this spot here. And I think it's going to be a very hard-hitting match. And I like you pointed out too that, yeah, Finlay is another guy that fans have kind of ragged on and has always kind of seen as more of that kind of fin-juice, jokey comedy guy, and have had a hard time taking him seriously as the Bullet Club leader and leading the War Dogs and stuff like that. But again, I think that he has been working really hard as well, and has really kind of elevated himself from where he was a few years ago. So should be a great kind of crossing point match here for both these guys. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm super into it. I think it's going to be a great match. I think David Finlay's had a great year so far. He's working hard, and I still believe in him. He's this great leader, faction leader. I don't know if I'm there yet, but I think the quality of his matches have been very good, very excellent, and I am checking for a Dave Finlay match. I'm not skipping a Dave Finlay match.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very hard hitting matchup here. Finlay's he's up the aggression with his style, and Yoshihashi's always been a hard hitter. So this should be another hard hitting matchup following that Shingo Hanare match. So kind of two back to back hard hitting matchups here. And yeah, I expect Finlay to retain. We had a question from Def Triangle 720. After Finlay retains at Kobe, who would you like to challenge for the global title?
Whew. I don't know. Oiwa? I don't know. And this is the thing, right? You don't have, unlike the Never title, which has an identity and has a group of wrestlers that you can associate with either holding or challenging for that title. This global title doesn't have that kind of identity yet. It hasn't been forged. It's just been David Finlay's precious, right? That's how I kind of feel like it is. Like Nick Nemeth was holding it. There was like no value in that. David Finlay is trying to create some value and create some legacy with that, which I can appreciate. But I don't even know who fits in this, like in that scene, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know who you would want to carry that other than Shingo.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I would go Yota Tsuchi. I know they're still kind of teasing some stuff with him and Jeff Cobb from their TV title match a few weeks ago, but I would pivot. I mean, Tsuji did beat Finlay in G1, so I would pull that out and have him come out at the end of the show and challenge Finley after this matchup. I feel like Tsuji's that guy where if you're gonna keep him under Naito for now, at least kind of elevate him to that quote unquote number 2 position with the white title, kind of that Nakamura-esque kind of role, and I think that would be perfect for him to get him in there with Finley and eventually win that title, and then really have him elevate that title and be that number 2 heavyweight in the company.
Yeah. And you'd love to see it, right? But it's where does this title fit? Because before with the Intercontinental title, right? It was the Nakamura belt, but it was also like this stepping stone for guys coming through to that world title, the Kennys and Jay Whites, and even the US title was sort of used in that way as well for I think for Ospreay. But what purpose is this global heavyweight title serving? I don't know how a global title differs from a world heavyweight title. Well, I've got to I got to understand this, and I still don't understand it.
Yeah, well, they'll scream on commentary that the world title, people come to fight the world champion, and then the global champion goes out and fights the world. Even though we really haven't seen many defenses of the global title outside of Japan. So yeah, I mean, they should have gone back to the IC title name and kind of continued that lineage. But yeah, they do need to really establish this title, and I think they did a lot of damage to the title earlier this year with the whole Nick Nemeth stuff, like you mentioned, especially because Finley was coming off a hot run of winning that match at Wrestle Kingdom, the 3-way with Ospreay and Moxley, and then he rolls into the Dog Pound cage match, and they beat at Empire. He pins Ospreay again. He gets Ospreay out the company. He's the guy responsible for getting Jay White out the company, and they position him super high, and at the end of February, and then to have him just drop it to Nick Nemeth, I think really kind of hurt Finley and the title.
Makes no sense. Made no sense whatsoever. And I get quote unquote plans change, but that didn't make sense. You derailed a guy who created this authentic momentum for himself and for your company around a new title that needs an identity. And what is Nick Nemeth doing for that title? What did you think he was going to do? Defend it on Impact or whatever? Go send David Finley to Impact. What? It doesn't make sense to me. And, I totally agree that, the Nick Nemeth experiment was not a good one. You could have had him in just special singles matches. If he wanted to fight Tanahashi, fight Tanahashi. Do it for the TV title or something. Not for something that you're trying to establish that is one step away from that world title, right? So, it's a challenge, but I think the match is going to be great, and I'm looking forward to it. And David Finley by KO.
Yeah, Finley will probably definitely get the win there. But yeah, I think Tsuji is the next good challenger. Like I mentioned, Shingo is a guy that could be a good challenger. Hiromu, if he wants to kind of find his way to winning some kind of title to have the right to face Naito, I mean, you could try to build Hiromu up to face Finley at some point in this fall before the Dome. And we know Naito is very familiar with being in a white belt match at the Dome, so you could have maybe a situation like that of Hiromu eventually getting that title from Finley and defending against Naito in the Dome. But yeah, I think there's some interesting options you could do to kind of get that title back on track and get it in a good spot come Wrestle Kingdom.
And you saw Finley's interview, right? What he was talking about?
Yeah, so he was teasing Switchblade Jay White as a potential opponent for Wrestle Dynasty on January 5th. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm super interested in that match. What about you?
I would watch it. Absolutely. What's Jay White been up to? He's been goofing around.
Well, I think he's been
He
hurt.
needs. Oh, I don't know. He's just. I feel like even before he was hurt, he was still goofing around, right? He's goofing around with Juice and those guys.
Bang Bang Gang.
and honestly, I like the faction. I like the faction. I think they're fun, but I wouldn't mind seeing Finley face off with Jay White. Wouldn't mind him facing off with Juice either. That's something I could get behind too, because I think Juice is a very different competitor than what he was before, when he was buddies with Finley. So I could get into that.
Yeah, I still don't know how those dynamics are gonna kind of work out with both of them kind of being heels, and I mean, obviously there's great history there. I mean, they've wrestled each other so many times, with Jay White winning majority of those, and so yeah, I think politics too I'd be kind of worried about, because I feel like Finley at this point would really need a win over Jay, and would politics come into play? Would Jay have to win, and how's that all work?
How protected do you think Jay White is, to be honest? Like, I don't know about that. Like, I could see him taking an L. Like, if we're trading back and forth here at the top of the card, I could see him sacrificing Jay White.
I think he's more protected than people think it is. If you look back at how much he's actually lost in AEW, it's not that money. And in the multi-man stuff, he's not the one eating the pin. So he's
sure.
He's more protected than you would think he is. Also, probably not as much as like Okada and Ospreay.
He's not actively pushed, is what I'm saying. And
right,
he's not a feature title contender. He's not in the same, like I would say Takeshita maybe would be a bit more protected at this point in time. Like, you might not want Takeshita to take an L, but like, you could probably, if you got a horse trade, I think Jay White could take an L somehow, right? Maybe he gets hit with the shillelagh or something like that, whatever. You could figure it out, but I don't think it hurts Jay White to take an L to David Finlay. Although AEW fans may highly disagree with me.
Yeah, I think Jay would be able to survive a loss from Finlay at Wrestle Dynasty, but yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see if they will actually book that matchup. But yeah, I'll see a ton of history there, and could be a fun match. Well, that will take us to the main event of this show. We have the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Tetsuya Naito defending the title against the 2024 Provisional KOPW Champion, the Great O-Khan.
Yeah, O-Khan. I'm referencing all these interviews because I was keeping up on my news. Found out I was making an appearance, so I brushed up on all the latest news. So, but O-Khan gave a super compelling interview on the New Japan Substack, where you can find all the news about New Japan. Dishing out all sorts of factually accurate hate towards Naito, and I'm very much into it, despite being a Naito mark with my Tranquilo shirt on. Calling this man out for wearing his t-shirt, saying he hasn't got anything to show the fans underneath it. I think that's hilarious. But I gotta say, like, I've always been a Naito fan, but the last 18 months with this guy have been absolutely miserable. And there's absolutely nothing for me to be invested in. But on the flip side, O-Khan, for the past 18 months, I have been able to get behind. I have been able to get super invested in what he's doing. I think people looked at these KOPW matches as like foolish and weird. But like, Jeremy, you're a marketing guy. I'm a public relations guy. If you know about what he's doing, like, this is about having the right content in front of the right audiences at the right time. Mm-hmm. And he's doing very specific work for very specific audiences. And so I don't want to gatekeep here being like, you don't get it, but it appears what he's doing is very strategic. appears to be very targeted, and it appears to be working. So, like if you don't want to see the guy flipping Toyo tires or, baking up Fuji apple pies or whatever it is, then, I get it, but this is clearly working for our great folk hero, Ocon, who is connecting with audiences. He's connecting with the grassroots. And I'm sure you know a thing about this at Social Suplex, about doing the hard work, making those relationships, creating these meaningful connections. And then you heard it. You heard the crowd when he faced Naito in the G1. They were backing him. This is what he's talking about in that interview too. So all this to say is, couple of lemons here and there. You gotta indulge some of this stuff because the guy is very smart. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he's becoming this like folk hero, making stuff meaningful to Japanese domestic fans. And for some of us, we're just watching abroad. But I think you have to at least consider that as the primary objective of what he's doing. Because if you notice, he's shouting out all of his sponsors, and that sponsor list is getting a little bit longer every month here. And, a nice little folk hero, leads to more and more sponsorships. And he's the only guy that's shouting out his sponsors. Come on, that's value. He's creating value even for the people that are backing him. And so this is just relationship management 101. I highly respect it as a public relations practitioner and professional. I am into it 100%.
Yeah, I think Great Khan has always done a great job of promoting himself and whatever he has going on. And the KOPW provisional matches, rural revitalizations. I mean, some of those were funny and some of them not so much. But regardless of what we think about those matches, I feel like he was all in on that and reaching those rural areas of Japan and kind of really getting himself over. And I feel like regardless of what he's doing, he always puts 100% of himself into that. And does a great job of promoting himself in these interviews and on social. And like you mentioned, the interview that's up right now on NJPW1972.com, yeah, he's just absolutely, he puts Naito over a flame. And I love the line here where he's like, he says, when the fans chant his name, they're cheering for a past Naito growing further away by the second. Like
scathing. Scathing.
Yeah, put a Rich Latta beat behind that and just read off some of these disses here, because Ocon, I mean, he went in and he's saying the things that fans are saying, other people are saying, and that Naito is washed, and these people are they're cheering and hoping for Naito of old, that they want to see 2016 Naito come out the curtain, but we're living the hard reality. It's 2024 Naito, and I know you're a big Tranquilo man, but you gotta admit he's not what he used to be. And so
he's not, and he's going the way of Tanahashi. He's a couple of steps behind Tanahashi, and you can see we all love the Ace. So it's never going to change our memories, but time is running out for him at the top of the card, and so I think we're in a period of positioning for the top of the card, and everyone's going to get a shot or two here and see how things shake out, because, Naito's days are numbered. The big four are no more. And so I think Ocon needs to show out here. He needs to position himself as a mainstay, as a draw, and as a truly exciting next level star that he thinks he is. He's put a lot of pressure on himself. He's saying he wants to be bigger than Inoki. That's insane, right? But if you're a professional wrestler, this is the way you got to talk about yourself. this is bravado. This is what we want as fans. We want to see the guys with massive egos, with big muscles, doing flips, hitting hard. But you gotta talk the talk too. You got to talk people into their seats, right? And I think O'Con is figuring that out. And I think he's figuring it out in the ring too. He's talked about that. He's talked about how he's been doing a lot of trial and error, right? How he wrestles his matches, the skill sets that he's applying to certain matches. But now he's saying, I've kind of figured it out, and now I'm having fun. And now he's thinking about business. And you can clearly see this, the way he's talking about getting fans value for their money when they look at when they are coming for their ticket, when they're coming for their seat, they're thinking about Naito and they're worried, is he going to be able to survive his next match? But when they look at me, right, they're seeing hope, they're seeing the future, and that goes into that quote that you said. They're thinking about a past Naito, and so very prescient words from O'Con, great folk hero of Japan, and I really hope that he performs well, and I hope Naito performs well too, because God, he's looked awful. He's just absolutely awful. And I don't know if it was a chemistry thing between him and Mox, but even throughout the G1, man, he can't finish guys. He can't do Destino. He can't do the combinacion cabron anymore. It's tough. He's tripping over that top rope. And so he's doing roll-ups now. It's like, how long can you hold on to wacky roll-ups and being a top guy?
Yeah, that's a great point. And yeah, I think Great O'Con has always done a great job of presenting himself as a star, even if the booking has not did the same thing. And so, yeah, I think now we're at the point where, yeah, he's talking like a main eventer. He's presenting himself as a main eventer, and I think that's going to help him out a lot with reactions coming into Kobe against Naito. But yeah, like you said, I do hope it's a great match. And I know these guys have had matches in the past before, and they haven't been blow away. And so hopefully, yeah, they both put their working boots on, and O'Con, I hope he takes full advantage of this opportunity being in this big main event in a big show like this. And then, yeah, hopefully Naito does the best that he possibly can in situations like this, because I would hate for the match to stink and then O'Con not get another shot because of this matchup. And so, hopefully, yeah, Naito can pull it together tonight on this night and give O'Con a pretty good match. But yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that Naito is going to win and retain, and then go on to face Zack Sabre Jr. at King of Pro Wrestling next month. Yeah,
that's what it looks like, and I think we're all hoping for similar outcomes here. Big Zack W, and off we go, right? A new set of stories, a new direction, something exciting, something unexpected, and that's always good for business, and I think it's good for fans as well.
Yeah, so I definitely expect Zack to come out here after the match, challenge Naito, make our King of Pro Wrestling match official. And MJ, I want to get your thoughts on the Young Boy's theory. So Young Boy has been kind of throwing it out there that he thinks that it's going to be Zack defending against Okada on January 4th. What are your thoughts about that potential matchup?
Ooh. I've listened to the Young Boys theories. It's sound logic. If you bring a guy back to Japan, if Okada's in town wrestling on the 5th, why wouldn't you have him wrestle on the 4th too? And you're trying to sell out 2 domes. I see no reason to not have Okada in that position or in a high level position. How they get there, how the politics shake out, is he still carrying that C2 belt? Because that tournament's at the end of the year, right?
Yeah, I think that's gonna be like November, December time. Yeah,
And maybe it wraps up. Maybe it wraps up out for Wrestle Dynasty, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see. And the way the C2 works, it's kind of the same way that the KOPW works, right? It's you hold it until the end of the year and you can defend it. But at the end of the year, this tournament crowns the provisional C2 champion or something like that. Is that how it works?
Kind of, except I don't think they consider it provisional. Like, so like Okada actually is like the Continental champion. You can lose the title throughout the year, but then come the tournament, you got to throw it up and kind of fight to win it back in the tournament.
Right. Because he beat Eddie Kingston, right?
Yeah.
Who won that tournament?
Yes.
Yeah. So it is the same as KOPW because there's no tournament for it, but you can win at any time. But if you're the champ, whatever. Yeah. Anyways, the tournament is key to whoever is champ at the end. So yeah. So I don't know. I don't know how they will wiggle Okada's way onto that card, but I think there's huge money in that. I think there is massive credibility for Zach by beating Okada. And I think Okada, everybody said he didn't do business on the way out. This would be a very good way for him to say, actually, I did. I just kind of ran out of time. So I think it would be okay for him to do that. And I think it puts 10,000 more people in the seats if we got something like that. So I wouldn't be opposed to it whatsoever. I think it's a great match. I think it sells itself on name alone. And I think they've always had good matches. So, I mean, Zach is Zach and Okada's Okada. That's his, it's dome season. You got to put 40, 50,000 people in that place.
Yeah. Those guys have always had great matches together. And yeah, I would totally be fine if that ended up being the dome main event, especially if Zach's going to retain. I know a lot of people are kind of concerned, maybe how do you get there? Like, I know some people think like the whole just do a video package thing would kind of be cheap to build this matchup. But I mean, we've kind of seen it in the past before with these big dream matches, when Omega challenged Ospreay. Again, it was a video package, and there was a bunch of promos, and they built to the match, and we're golden. And so
Jericho did it too. Jericho sent, also Jericho would show up in a mask and all sorts of weird stuff. But he also sent when he challenged Omega, he sent a video package. When he challenged Naito, I think he sent a video package too.
Yeah, definitely. So there's definitely a precedent there for those kind of big time matchups to just come from a video package. But like you mentioned, C2 is definitely going to be a thing to keep an eye out on when exactly that ends and if Okada is going to win that, because that's a whole nother open door of politics there. If Okada is coming in as a Continental Champion, are they okay with the Continental Champion losing to the IWGP Champion? They probably should be. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a very interesting build to the dome.
And you know what the streets are saying? The streets are saying that Kenny Omega was shopping for some work clothes.
I saw that. I guess there was some lady who was said hi to him and was nervous to have a full conversation with him or whatever. And he mentioned, I was in Japan for a trip. I was getting some work clothes, which his gear designer lives in Japan. So it sounds like we are one step closer to getting Kenny Omega back in the ring. I know him and Kota Ibushi were doing some training together. So, again, those would be two other great guys to take part of Wrestle Kingdom weekend. If you could find a way to get Golden Lovers on the 4th and or 5th, that would be awesome.
Young Bucks versus Golden Lovers?
Yeah, I mean, why not? Oh, man, tear the house down. That would be awesome. All right, well, that is it for our preview on Destruction in Kobe. So, again, that is Sunday, September 29th, Kobe World Hall on NJPW World. Should be a good show. Conclusion of the Destruction Tour. So now we'll jump into a few quick news items and then some few questions, and then we'll get out of here. So kind of a light show tonight. And like we were talking before we recorded, I mean, September's been kind of quiet for New Japan after the hectic summer of G1 in July and August. They've kind of slowed things down with the Destruction Tour, not been airing a bunch of stuff. So, yeah, hopefully things will pick up with the fall. King of Pro Wrestling should be another busy season. So some few news items here. It was announced that Tenzan suffered an injury to his right knee. So the 53-year-old Tenzan will miss the remainder of the Destruction Tour. And there has been no timeline given on Tenzan, which is pretty hard because he just recently came back, it seemed like, from another injury. So time might be up for Tenzan pretty soon here.
Might be having a retirement show soon.
Yeah. Then at a press conference on September 11th in Shanghai, saw the announcement of an Antonio Inoki memorial event to be held in Shanghai on December 14th. Chinese promotions, Dragon Fighting Wrestling, Infin Pro Wrestling, and the Hong Kong Wrestling Federation will be joined by representation from NJPW and the Inoki Genome Federation from Japan. Speaking at the press conference was Sugabayashi, who stated it's an honor to be participating in this event. NJPW's wrestlers will be giving all they have to ensure a great event for the Shanghai fans. More information will follow at a later date. So finally getting some kind of New Japan action in China. We know about the Pacific Alliance that was kind of formed earlier this year. So finally kind of seeing some of that action there with this special Inoki show. Then next thing here, Jado is going to be hosting group workout with fans. So the Third Generation Club, which is a special program for NJPW, where online workout sessions are hosted by NJPW stars to help fans get fit with genuine pro wrestling exercise. Well, they're going to be teaming up with Studio Well J in Minato, Tokyo, and they're holding a special in-person training session with Massive Heater Jado on October 13th.
Man, I want to, whatever he's doing, I got to get on it because man is yoked.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what the Jado workout regimen is because we
got to get Jado on Peloton Japan. I'd be taking those classes every single week.
Then last piece of news here, Layla Gray, AEW's Layla Gray is now training at the LA Dojo. So I guess apparently there's been stories that, it seems like AEW kind of wants her in more of a managerial role. Also, right now she's managing Top Flight. But it sounds like she wants to do more wrestling. So kind of taking it on herself to join the LA Dojo and improve her game.
Good for her. Good for her.
All right, few questions here, and then we'll wrap things up here. Death Triangle 720 says, hypothetically, let's say Oiwa creates a new faction. Who could benefit from a change of scenery?
Oh, tons of people.
Yeah.
Tons of people.
Yeah, I think we're in need for a full just faction shakeup, and I wish they would pull a Stardom and when they used to do the draft every year and kind of make factions kind of restart over, redraft every year and break up, expand, create new factions. Because I do think that we've had the same set of factions for a very long time now, and guys have kind of been where they're at for a while now. So yeah, I think it would be great to have. You mentioned there's a ton of guys that could use new scenery. So he's coming in. I mean, Chaos is kind of a shell of itself. I mean, why not, mix it up, have Bishamon join him,
LP.
Yeah, ELP. I mean, he's kind of in Hantai, La La Land right now, but yeah, he's a guy that could benefit from being in a new faction.
Yeah. Yeah. Lots of people. Probably Kenta.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
all these older non-War Dogs guys, just break them off, give them something new to do. Like there's, not that I would want Oiwa surrounded by like Chase and Kenta and like all these guys, but like House of Torture 2.0. But yeah, I think there is, chaos can be redesigned. I think, you got to get some young guys moved in and around. You need to have like a kind of a younger faction. I really like the way that the United Empire is structured. It's kind of big, but I think they have the best presence in New Japan, the best constant presence for sure, with War Dogs and being close behind, I'd say.
mhm.
And then you got Chaos and Hantai, which are basically the same thing, with no narrative around it. So if like you could just maybe it's like you want to keep the Chaos brand and put Oiwa at the front, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's getting Oiwa in front of a faction would be great for him. Yeah, whether that is kind of rebrand Chaos or him just kind of do his own thing. But yeah, I think there's so many people that would benefit from a shakeup. Another question, he says, in your honest opinions, do you think the junior division is strong enough without Hiromu or Despy being involved at all? I'm talking no BOSJ, no title matches on big shows, no involvement at all with the junior division.
Yeah, I do. And I think the junior division would benefit from both of them moving up. And I think every division, whether it be the white belt, heavyweight, never title, would benefit from having Hiromu and Despy in it. I think there is enormous amounts of money left on the table with these guys sticking in the junior division. I think it's silly that they're still there because there's clearly a ton of money for them to make doing heavyweight work and doing death match work and doing never title match work. Whereas the junior division, I think, yeah, you can build it around Fujita. You can build it around Akira. You can build it around like all of the folks that they have there. Doki, like there's everybody just gets a little bump up, and the junior division is like you can sorry to say this, but go and poach some guys.
Mm-hmm.
Go and yoink some guys from Dragon Gate. Go and yoke a guy from DDT. If you can, right? And right there, you got one or two guys, bunch of life is breathed into the division, 100%.
Yeah, and I think too with the junior division, like they are really not responsible for carrying a lot of tours. Obviously, there are guys that are stars and also help bring people to the buildings, but I mean, a Super Junior tour is really the only tour where business kind of makes or breaks on them. And I do think we're to a point now where it'll be a more beneficial business move, I would think, too, like you mentioned, yeah, elevate Hiromu and Desperado into those heavyweight scenes. And then with those two guys gone, that opens up the room for guys to get elevated and to create new stars. Because I think that's been the problem for New Japan for the last several years, is that they've had this incredible crop of top guys. They had your Hiromus, your Desperados, your Okadas, your Naitos, your Omegas. Like they had from 2017, 2016 to now. Like they've had this incredible wealth of talent, and year by year they keep losing people. And they haven't been building people because they've kind of just relied on what they had. And so I think now would be a great time to, push those guys up so that way you can, create new stars. Because when you don't create new stars, the roster gets stale and then people get older, they get hurt, they switch promotions, and then you fail to kind of replenish when you had a chance.
Yeah. And to be fair, I think we are in a period of time where we are positioning people. Like, I don't think it's New Japan has never been overnight success, right? A lot of the folks, other than like Okada and stuff, take time. It's a nice little soup that takes time for all the flavors to come together into something special. And so, that's why we've always talked about this, about, trusting Gato and like letting it play out and waiting, because it always pays off. And I think right now, for most of us who have been around for 6, 7, 8 years, haven't had to see that rebuilding process and how it works. But if you look at the stable of hosses and like blue chip athletes that are in this company, all it takes is for some of these guys to figure it out up here, because physically they can all go. Tsuji and Shota and Oiwa and Uemura. Once these guys figure it out up here, it's going to be the big four all over again. Big four, big five. And you can see that they could do that in the junior division too. But again, they don't, their business model is not built around the junior division, though they could have it hot and they could have guys that sell tickets or build a star that will move up, right? And have one of these like careers that Hiromu could have and Despy could have. So yeah, I just think there's a ton of talent there, and they are finding their way. And just like we watch young lions go through their process, a lot of these guys are finding their way, and they are finding their connections, and they're building those like meaningful relationships that Naito had to do over the grind of his career, right? Mm-hmm. He wasn't an overnight. He didn't come back and was accepted as a star. It was the opposite, right? He had to go away again. So, it's I think we're just in a period of time where we're watching them build, and we haven't experienced that before. And so, for some historians like Young Boy, he's like, I've seen the dark times. I've been through that. Some of us haven't, so we don't know how to act, right? So, yeah. But there's nothing like the dojo system in producing talent that can go in the ring, and they've got a whole whack of boys that are there or soon to be there, because that they got a couple of kids down in that dojo right now that are pretty sick. And you know what? Oi was coming back. Nakashima and Oscar, they come back, a little tag team action. Yeah. It's a lot of young talent in that organization, tons.
Yeah, and
so I think you just gotta wait.
Yeah, especially for the junior division, they have access to guys like a Kevin Knight and Robbie Eagles, guys that are still relatively young and still really great wrestlers. Like, they have that door open to foreigners that they could easily pull in and start using more. So yeah, I think that they could survive and thrive without Hiromu Desperado on the roster for the junior side. But his last question, he said, would you consider New Japan hot at the moment?
No, not hot.
Yeah,
but I think we're starting to bubble, right? We're putting the ingredients together.
Yeah, I think it's so hard. Also, we're thinking also from a Western standpoint, and then you got to look at the domestic standpoint. And I mean, domestically, they are. I mean, they're selling tickets. They seem to be kind of doing a little bit better than last year, and they're still trying to recoup from the pandemic. And clearly, they're not as hot as they were, 2016 to 2019. I mean, that was kind of a peak era there. That is of business that ended, and then COVID came and really killed that. And so, yeah, I think they're still all kind of getting that momentum back up here. And I mean, from a Western standpoint, they feel kind of lukewarm from a Western standpoint, just because, I mean, you had a really good G1. It seemed like there was a lot of buzz and discussion about G1, but then G1 ended, and then the conversations kind of ended for right now. And we've had this Destruction tour. There hasn't been, I mean, it's been a lot of Road 2 shows. And, you know, when I look at the download numbers, I'll see we still have good numbers this month, but compared to like a G1 month, you know, numbers are a little bit down. So clearly the interest in New Japan, at least from a Western standpoint, I feel like it's kind of tapered down. You know, the G1 hype is over and people are just kind of waiting for Tokyo Dome season. So
yeah. And this is what they need to find a way to fill the time in between to keep the buzz going from tour to tour. I just don't know that their thinking is that mature yet. I could be wrong, but they don't do these things. And so like you see it on your end as a purveyor of New Japan discourse, right? You got to find ways to maintain buzz and to maintain momentum. And whether that's through super hot bookings and super hot feuds, or, you know, and shows in the interim, and like having your guys doing PR and doing marketing and doing interviews and doing all that type of stuff to get things like buzzing again, to get people talking again. Like remember when they sent Gabe Kidd to LA to do the news?
yeah.
Like that's all, like he was amazing. Like that's the kind of guy. And I think Gabe Kidd is doing business, and he's doing business very much for himself. So good for him. Because I saw him posting about how he's going to show up to indies getting paid racks and all this kind of stuff, which I love, right? Yeah. I love, like, that is part of his aura, his charisma. It's a part of him creating buzz wherever he goes. And that's also beneficial to the company. And so they got to find ways to make this more persistent, to keep buzz throughout and keep people invested in the product, in the stories, you know, buying merchandise or some type of like, how are we going to sell today? Mm-hmm. How are we going to sell in between these like these weeks off when we're giving guys, you know, time off? So there's tons of stuff they could do, but, you know, with limited resources, I understand.
Yeah, and I think again too, you know, we really have to, you know, examine the domestic business, because maybe the Japanese fans might be like, yeah, everything's great and we're loving it. I mean, tickets are a little bit up, but I mean, New Japan World subs, they're not blown through the roof. There's a lot of different key metrics we can look at that, you know, you compare to when they were super hot. You know, some of those metrics are down and are still kind of recovering. So, maybe in Japan, maybe they're starting to kind of bubble a little bit. I think just from a Western, maybe attention, they feel kind of lukewarm right now. And, you know, maybe things will heat up after this weekend and as we build towards Zack and Naito, because I know that was kind of where the discourse kind of ended. I mean, people were very excited that Zack won G1, and there was a lot of back and forth on, you know, what does it mean with Zack challenging at King of Pro Wrestling, and then that kind of died off. And then, they didn't really follow up that win with anything big. I mean, you had Capital Collision, which was kind of a lower end New Japan strong show, and then you jump right into a Road 2 tour. So I don't know if that's something, if in the calendar they need to kind of reassess that first post G1 show, or how that fall kind of plays out, because it does seem like there was a lot of buzz, at least in the West, a lot of buzz about Zack winning and the G1 as a whole. And then, then you get into that kind of lull, little break, U.S. show, Road 2 shows, and it seems like the Western attention span is kind of gone for right now.
Yeah, it's about them capitalizing on these moments, right? You have this big G1 win. What do you do to maximize the value of this win? It's not to go quiet right afterwards, right? And maybe it's a U.S. tour with some of the guys that were on the tour, and have Zack go over there. You know, maybe he doesn't have to headline anything, but like you got to do things to maintain the momentum. And I know guys need time off. They need to heal up. They need to like stay fresh. But, you know, Zach doesn't work an especially demanding style. Like he's not doing moonsaults and shooting star presses and stuff, right? He's twisting people into knots, and maybe his chest is sore because he's got chopped 1,000 times, but like his muscles are sore, maybe his knees are sore from bending all which ways, but like his style isn't especially demanding, and so you never know, right? So like, yeah, they got to think of ways to capitalize on the in-betweens, and how are we going to make money when we're not touring, and like, or how do we create buzz or like drive traffic upwards? They got to put some strategies in place in order to do this. And maybe they need a marketing guy, and maybe they need a PR guy, and I don't know. Do you know any of those kind of people?
Yeah, there's two on this show right now, and so yeah, I know people in the office are listening. So if you want some a marketing guy, a PR guy, but again, back to the whole domestic thing. I don't know what their full marketing strategy is there, and yeah, I don't want anybody in the office, sliding in the DMs and correcting us about what's going on in Japan. And they're probably doing a lot of stuff in Japan that we're not fully privy to. And again,
they're probably thinking young boy can't even spell. So who are they to lecture us about marketing and public relations? So fair play.
Yeah. Next question here from Chief_AWF. What do you really think about Def Triangle 720?
Quite the question.
Yeah, I mean, I like Def Triangle 720. He's been a listener for a long time now. Always sends in question. He's a one guy, even in a down time period like this Destruction tour. He always shoots questions in. So definitely appreciate Def Triangle 720.
Yeah, long-term question poster. And, obviously has great taste in podcasts, wrestling promotions. He's an intelligent and handsome man.
Yeah, he's awesome. Some questions here from Doc. He says, with Sakuraba making his way back into Chaos, is there anybody else out there that New Japan should want to bring in for these smaller regional shows to draw people in?
Yeah, I got a couple ideas.
All right.
Sexyama.
Okay.
I want to see Sexyama, MMA legend. I'm going to name off a couple of MMA legends because these are the kinds of people that are related to Sakuraba. Genki Sudo, famous junior heavyweight MMA guy, and Takanori Gomi, also a famous junior heavyweight, fought in the UFC. He was a Fireball Kid, Takanori Gomi. Very well regarded MMA practitioner. So a couple of guys from Pride fighting, bring Pride Never Die back, and get these guys out. I think Genki Sudo's like also he's like a pop star. I think he might be a politician too. Like Genki Sudo's, he's a man of the world.
So you're just trying to bring Inokiism back. So
yeah. Yeah. I'm doing this specifically to pop young boy.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely think it's a fun thing, to bring in some of these older guys that you haven't seen in a while. I mean, also you have the New Japan dads that you could always count on, but yeah, bringing in some guys from the past like this that can still go, I think really is kind of add like a fun little treat to some of these tours.
I don't know if you saw that. You saw this Takayama and Suzuki. Did you see this? I think it was Takayama.
I saw some clips of talking about it was in Cork and Hall, right?
Yeah, and it's a guy. I think it's Takayama. He's a famous fighter and wrestler. And Suzuki is like screaming at him. This guy's in a wheelchair. He's see a quadriplegic or paraplegic, and he's like, if you hate me so much, I want you to stand up right now and kick me in the face. And like you could see Suzuki was tearing up, and everybody was. It was a super emotional moment. Bring Minoru Suzuki back. Like this guy is incredible. Yeah, the stuff he did with Nagata was some of the best storytelling work of the entire year last year. The guy is a master at, creating just real, raw emotions. Man, he's unbelievable, just unbelievable. So I would like to see more Suzuki.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, I feel like Shibata would be a great guy to kind of pop in and out, especially since he's not, since he's under AEW and ROH contract. I feel like he would be, if they trusted letting him in the ring, like that would be, I think, a great guy to kind of do a one-off appearance every now and again. His other question, he says, Yasuda and Daiki are the first juniors in a long time to show real promise. Do you think New Japan will take their fast-forward approach with them? What promotion do you see them sending these boys to?
So, first of all, I want to shout out to Doc. And for those who aren't in the Discord, you will know, you may not know, but Doc is well known for having the best and most accurate wrestling opinions in the entire Discord. That's a joke. Doc is absolutely dead wrong here. He's no clue. Fujita, last junior out of the dojo. He has been awesome. Clark Connors out of the dojo, being absolutely awesome. Kevin Knight out of the dojo, absolutely awesome. Wato out of the dojo. Wasn't awesome at first, but he's got there. So I don't know, Doc. I don't know. The juniors have been very good that have come out of the dojo, and I expect the Yasuda and Daiki to be super, super good. I'm big invested in this Daiki Nagai kid. He looks like something super special to me. I think he's got a ton of charisma, good aura about him already. And those guys are really, really working. So a shout out to Doc, bad opinion haver.
No, yeah, I mean, yeah, Daiki, Nagai, and Yasuda, they're awesome, and I think they're a step ahead of Murashima and Kato, and yeah, they're looking really good and would be great additions to junior division whenever they go on excursion and come back. And as far as where you send these guys, I mean, there's so many options. I mean, it seemed like the domestic excursion worked really well for Oiwa. So I think it'd be interesting to try something like that again, send them to Noah or somewhere else where they can stay in the country, but also kind of learn a different style of Japanese wrestling.
I was going to say Dragon Gate. Send those guys over to Dragon Gate. This domestic excursion thing, I think, is found money for New Japan. I think they sent Oiwa to Noah because they probably couldn't afford to send him to the UK for 8 months or send him wherever for however long. I'm just assuming this, but I think this is found money, particularly if they can keep them close, keep them still staying in the dojo. They're reducing costs. They're making domestic stars, and they're learning high quality, like the wrestling in Dragon Gate. Like, I don't watch a ton of it, but I have seen a bit very recently, and it's insane. It's phenomenal. The work is absolutely incredible, and I think it's a no-brainer to send juniors over there.
Yeah, that would be a great place to send juniors. So, yeah, work that super fast-paced style. And if you are going to send them abroad, I mean, I feel like CMLL has been the most successful excursion partner to send people to. I think they've really helped a lot of young lions, obviously. And, I mean, you look at, Naito and Hiromu and Tsuji. Like, there's just a long history. I mean, Sho and Yo went there. There's a long history of guys who went to CMLL and left so much better. And so that's another kind of aspect of the junior style. So, yeah, I think it'd be fun. If you're not going to keep them in Japan, yeah, send them to CMLL.
Yeah.
And a few other questions here that I didn't have on the rundown from Barry Walsh. Emailed some questions in here. let's see here. So he says, hi lads, with Zack losing to Sonata and to Umino in the Rambo, is he more likely now to win the belt with 2 potential challengers now set up? Actually, that was from last week. We answered that one already. Let's see. Here we go. He says, if you could transport a star from the 80s or 90s from New Japan and have them there today, whose moveset would still work today or get over? Or who was a mid-carder who would be bigger today than back in the day?
I am not the right person to answer this. I have zero clue.
Yeah, I feel like most guys from the 80s and 90s could still fit in today. I feel like they're that fundamental of what the Noge dojo system produced and kind of what New Japan has been. I know also you go back to the 80s, it's more kind of traditional strong style. You got Inoki, you got Karl Gotch, and at some point over the years, the New Japan quote unquote strong style kind of evolves into actually just kind of being King's Road. But I still feel there are guys that would work perfectly today. I mean, I feel like Hashimoto is a guy that very hard hitting, kind of a big bruiser. I feel like he would work. I feel like a lot of the big like bruising foreigners, Vader and Stan Hansen, I feel like those guys would fit in well, if they were in a never division. If there was a never division back then, like those are the kind of like big like bruisers, guys that are throwing lariats, throwing bombs. I feel like would still work perfectly in today's.
Yeah. Probably like I would say maybe a Hayabusa. Probably would fit in real well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, there's so many guys.
Owen Hart. Hart.
Yeah. If unfortunately, if Owen Hart had not passed away, like I think he would have been a guy that would be in like an AEW or New Japan right now. And yeah, if you took him from that time period now, he would fit in perfectly. Dynamite Kid, Tiger Mask, the original Tiger Mask, like those guys were doing things way ahead of their times. You watch a Dynamite Kid Tiger Mask match, you feel like you're watching, a Super Junior match in modern times. And so, bring in Tiger Mask 1 and Dynamite Kid into a junior division today with what they were doing back then, like it would blow people away. All right, well, that is it for the questions. We're going to hold on recommended match of the week. So that's going to wrap things up. MJ, thanks so much for filling in for the young boy this week. Do you have anything you want to plug? You want to tell people where to find you online if you want to put yourself out there?
Sure. I'm MJ Does PR on Twitter. And I'm the Discord daddy up in the Social Suplex Discord. So come join me and a bunch of good-natured wrestling Discord posters. I don't know. Just come in, show up, be cool, behave yourself.
Yeah, that's right. You don't want the Discord daddy to lay the law down. It's been great having you on the admin team, helping us keep control of the Social Suplex Discord. But yeah, very happy with how the Discord's been going. Also a big shout out to Trish and Sarah and Tunnel Talk, who've really injected some new life into Discord and brought a lot of people in there. So yeah, super fun wrestling community, very easygoing. We try to keep it a drama-free environment. We got rules and regulations. So yeah, if you're coming in and disturbing the peace, Discord daddy, the rest of us, we will drop the hammer on you.
Yeah, father, you don't want father Discord to show up.
All right, well, that's going to wrap things up. Next week, we'll be back to review Destruction in Kobe and cover all this news. Remember, if you want to watch our show live or listen without ads, sign up at patreon.com/KI Strong Style. And don't forget our special live stream that is free coming up on the Social Suplex YouTube channel of all the hosts. That's coming Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Got some fun news to share with you guys. You can also make a donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Make sure you connect with us on social media. On X, follow us at KI Strong Style, at Social Suplex, and at Jeremy L. Donovan. On Facebook, follow us at facebook.com/Social Suplex and the Wrestling Squared Circle Facebook group. On Reddit, I'm the Pro Black Guy and Josh is Keeping It Strong Style. On YouTube, we are at Social Suplex. Join our Social Suplex Discord server to interact with us and other wrestling fans. You can email me, Jeremy, at socialsuplex.com, and check out all the other shows here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. All Things Elite with Floyd and Austin. Imps WWE Adventure with The Implications, Matthew Mayer. Wrestling Art with Chris Things. Tunnel Talk with Ali and Aaliyah. And the Trish and Sarah Wrestling Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. And we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.